Good evening, good peoples. Let's jump in here to Roundhill announce for their 10 existing weekly payers. Unfortunately, I wasn't sure. A couple people asked in the comments about MSTW and so forth. So yeah, it's been a week since they've been out, but Roundhill typically is 2 weeks behind the scenario. Um, that shows up when there's a shortened week and some pays or something, especially in their index funds. But the good news is it's coming next week. So the MSTW, the four other newest launches that launched on 7/24, those will pay on 8, or sorry, they'll declare on 8/8 and they'll pay on 8/12. All right. So just know that all of these, the 10 I'm going to report on, declare tomorrow, Friday, on 8/1. So you can buy all day Friday. The X date would be Monday the 4th, and they'll pay on Tuesday. All right, guys, let's jump in here. So, what did the Nvidia based fund pay in VGW? Down, but not out. 45,095. So what was the yield on cost? 44.87. The closing price on 7/31 was 52.26. That is up 73 cents from the previous week going into the declaration date. They have paid now a total of $9.12 in the Nvidia fund since the launch on 2/19, with the first payment being 2/28. And they've also gained $1.64. That's what you love to see. But again, what are we in for Nvidia? Well, we've been in a slight bear market from mid-February to around April 7, April 10, and then pretty much straight up since then. So positive environment for the most part. Tesla, not so, not so necessarily. This one's a lot uglier, guys. Same 219 launch. These first five all launched from Roundhill. Had nothing to do with Roundhill. Has everything to do with the underlying Tesla. So here you've been paid 939, but you've lost, oh, it's hard to say, 1884. Now, my gut tells me that Tesla is likely to outperform ahead. That's more like a revert to the mean. You know, gets beat up, gets beat up, gets beat up. Other companies are going to new highs. It has its own rhythm. I suspect when it gets beat down enough to, and I know exactly when it's going to turn. No, but if you DCate a little, if you didn't own any at all, if you owned a lot and you've been in it much higher, my condolences. However, it is a high tech company with a brilliant CEO. And, it's very likely with its technology to do well, despite just the electric car side of it, which isn't particularly doing well. The whole market is sort of down around electric cars, and the tax incentives are going away. But it's a lot more than that. It's robo taxi, which will always be in demand, and it's also the robotic side of things. Um, and energy management for that matter. So there's a lot behind Tesla, but it's been brutal. Nobody can lie about that. What did it pay? 30 cents, guys. 50% yield, down another $1.31 on the NAV. Okay, let's look at Apple. Another one that, look at all this red. I mean, I see a little bit of green, $2. Several times I see $2. But I see a 235, a 71, a dollar one, a dollar 58. So Apple not necessarily that strong. It paid a 35% yield on a 23-cent payment. Again, they have their periods of time. Now, Coinbase, the COI is finally coming down some. Well, you don't just launch up from $30 to $60. Well, what did the fund start at? 37.62. But even using the 48, because that seems like on 219, maybe it was 48.85. My summary data will tell me. Uh, yeah, 48.85 on inception, and then it turned around and was way down. So that had to be the buy of a lifetime there in the detail. When it went to 37.62 or even 30. Oh, here we go, 27.5. What is this time with, right? 4.7, 4.10, the bottom of the market. You see it right here. The 4.11 price with my 4.10, right? 4.7, 4.10. There's your bottom. Now, those are hard to pick, guys. Don't think you can time the bottom or time the top. But if you own this fund at $26 and starting getting paid, even if you owned it at 48.85, which was another high in the market in February, down in April, up now through July, when is it going to top? You tell me, right? It's top E, but I'm not calling a top yet. Not that I'm really a top caller, right? But I give you my opinions from time to time. I had somebody say, this is sidetrack, a little bit of a rant. Had somebody say, oh, I was watching your video, but the minute you started talking about 2024 to 2034, I just got out of it and went to another video. Good riddance, dude. I mean, seriously, I don't say I have accuracy, but what I talk about is historical cycles. I talk about history. I talked about sector rotation. I talk about probabilities. I talk about war cycles. I study that as I study markets along with technical analysis. Nobody can absolutely predict the future, but we can do probabilities. And I'd be the first to tell you, hey, remember what I'm always telling everybody? Don't go out there and listen to YieldMax and say buy YMax and park it and leave it. No, they're going to tell you to drip it. Of course, if you just keep dripping and reinvesting, you'll always be buying lower share prices, right? Because a lot of the funds have NAV erosion or are going down. Um, but the point being, nobody can predict absolutely the future, but you can have probabilities. You can say AI is a trending thing and likely to stay. I can say we're in a super commodity cycle because I played them. They run sometimes for 7 to 10 years. If you were playing commodities in 2001 to 2011, you did very, very well. How did the SPY for that 10 years? Not so well in comparison. So it's things like that that you can gain traction in. That's all. And probabilities revert to mean, things like that. So I say good riddance to people who his IQ is like 50. If you can't think and listen to people who know more than you and just give you ideas, then you're not really open to anything. You're probably a yield chaser that go out and, pile in. Oh my God, look at that payment, $1.94. You pile in at 62.88, and then you're the first one to bitch when it's 54.85 on coin. It may go back to 40, but it might also be 70 or 80. Are you bullish on coin? Buy it when you're bullish, guys, for the near future, for 90 days, 120 days, 6 months. Crypto's likely to do well in this environment. I still think we see 150, 175 on BTC. So I tend to be bullish on coin. I still try and time when it's cheaper. I got out of Coney because YieldMax cannot manage that fund and pay a decent amount, and Roundhill just has them beat up and down the board with these weekly payers and how they use leverage to gain when there's the right time to use it. Okay, enough of my rant, guys. Back to what people paid. Oh, how did Palantir do? So, in case I didn't cover this one, they paid 55.03. They paid 58 cents in the coin fund. It was down 346. It had been down 457 because it just flew up to levels that are harder sustainable on a daily basis. But if crypto continues to move, I think Coinbase will move, which is what these funds are based on. All right. So Palantir, PLTW, I own a lot of this because I like Palantir a lot. And I got out of Pulte for the same reason I got in Coney, because Geomax really can't get the job done in a lot of these funds. And waiting a month to find out that they disappoint you massively, no thank you. Not my cup of tea. You fanboys, keep doing what you're doing, right? That's what the freedom of choice. I vote with my feet. I go where I'm treated best. Somebody also made the comment, you seem to jump around a lot. Not really. I've been in Coney for a long period of time. Okay. I watch the trends very closely. I just bought more Ulti. I've had a small amount of Ulti for a year. My average cost was like $14 or $15. So I was down in NAV, but still slightly ahead, right? Not a big return, but slightly ahead with all the dividend. But I'm no dummy. I watch it for the last 4 months. It's stabilized. It's yielding much better. I talk about that in the recent video I did on it. It's not perfect. You got to watch it, guys. It's not a set and forget it, right? None of these are. I happen to believe that Palantir will do very well over the next 2 or 3 years. Does that mean that it won't reach a level and pull back 40% in the stock? It would crush Pulte, just absolutely crush Pulte. Not as much in PLTW. And I'll be, oh, yeah, the leverage. They'll fall back to 100% leverage when they see the downtrend, and they'll do about what Pulte does. But on the upside, they kill them, right? So, and also I own Palantir underlying because I'm not all in. I'm 25% of my assets deployed in income funds. The other 75% are in other things that aren't income oriented. All right, guys, so that's PLTW, 76.13, down 114, but look at this, $7 over the last 3 weeks that it's risen. And my problem with the Omex, they pay $7, and when we earn another $7 and they pay us three, then okay, well they're going to pay out all that excess money. No, they pay us $2.50. That's laughable with how well the fund is done. Now they only capture 33%. That's their problem. That's on them. Okay, because PLTW is out capturing 65, 70% of the upside. So why would I want to be in something, right? I vote with my feet. I know. Enough rant. Amazon, guys. Okay, remember all 10 of these declare 8-1 Friday. You need to buy if you want to add on Friday. X date is 8-4 on Monday, pay date is Tuesday. All of the single stocks funds, and they've added 5 more, guys. I was disappointed they didn't pay, but any student of Roundhill would have known that, right? I just was busy. So when somebody went to comment, I looked and said, oh, they didn't pay MSTW. Of course they didn't. They didn't really have time. We should get a nice fat paycheck when they declare on 8-8, if the fund underlying has done well. Okay, 36.67 on Amazon. Payments, barely 52, 53% of what it was the week before. Still positive over here. Still not bad. If you're going up and you're yielding, nothing wrong with that. BRK, BW, Berkshire, right? Just can't quite get its act together. This is the wrong environment. It's a defensive oriented, fund. So this isn't a defensive time. This is a rah time until somebody takes the chair away, right? When the music stops and they take the chair away, look out below. Who knows, right? I'm not Chicken Little. I'm just saying. It'll happen when, I don't know. I've stopped trying to predict. I have a feeling that we will get more social unrest, even more than we have now globally. I'm not talking about what's happening in the US, the social unrest. That's just stupidity. But I'm talking globally. social unrest, war cycles. I think that heats up in August and that could impact the markets. Let's see. All right. Robinhood, another fantastic payer, but it's cooling off. Look at this. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this, but you know, I've always challenged those that said this is the next Palantir, it's going to the moon. I said, at the end of the day, what is it? It's a retail broker, right? A bigger firm can simply buy them out. So they're somewhat revolutionary. I get it. Stable coin, they're tying to some things. But to me, they're the young generation go to. Been there, done it, seen it. It's like a hot new restaurant opens up and everybody in town wants to go to it. The line is out the door. 3 years later, there's two more new ones and it's closing down. So I'm not saying Hood's going away. I'm not saying that it's not doing fantastic. I question the intellectual property that makes them so much better than anybody else that wants to start. Now, their CEO's done some innovative things. They've been a leader. If all you did was rotate into this and collect some great paychecks and get out, now you're talking about what I'm talking about. Bruce, you move thing. Yeah, I wasn't in it. Okay. So kudos to anybody is, but the guy who's holding and buys at the top 2 years later, I feel sorry for. If I'm proven wrong, tell me, right? Is it really a 3 year run? Is it a 5 year run? I don't think so. But again, I can be wrong and I am sometimes. Okay. So fantastic pay here. Look at this. 2.90 payers, $3 payers, now an 83. Is it toppy? Very possibly. Let's see. How long can this market go? Can it go another 3 months? Can it go to January? It could. But what's the likelihood if it continues up into January? I'd hate to be when it does drop. It just, the higher you climb, the farther you fall. All right. Enough of that. 83, 64, 83, coming back to earth in the lowest payment they've had. But still, excellent, right? If you bought this thing at 57.72, right? Remember, these were the second tier. These things all launched on 6/4, I think, was their actual launch date. So it was probably much cheaper. I mean, you've killed it. You've earned $6 and you've grown 13.75 in your NAV. But if I had that, I'd be trimming some, right? You can't lose when you trim. Okay, Meta, Facebook, 37, 38 cents. One of their lower yields. They've had 233s, some 70s, 45, 49. Up big. I'll give that. $4.33. Netflix, for some reason, I mentioned this before, most of the Netflix, and the underlying is not getting it done. Now that's interesting because we know people need income. We know people are hurting in some ways. For income, and yet you would think they'd be staying home watching more Netflix. It's not showing up. But then again, Berkshire in the protected, there's people that are still making money in this environment, especially in the markets. Remember, part of it is psychology. Part of it is I feel like my account is up a lot, so I'm spending. When that market starts going down, and those that leverage themselves too far with margin, and they get those squeezes, right? They get margin calls. Then those are the ones that pucker up, man. Stop going to their favorite restaurant. Stop eating out, period. Start cooking at home. Don't do other things. Don't take trips. Don't drive as much. They're home watching Netflix, right? So you've got a corresponding. All right, guys, just as a reminder. So what did it pay? 28 cents, 32% yield, down $1.44 after being down $5, $2, $1. So you're not doing real well here. I mean, you are only, well, that's not even the right math there. Oh, you're down 818 in total. Yeah. All right. So paid $2.72. Okay, friends. all of these, let's go look at this and then I'll go through. All these new five will have their declarations on first on 8/8, 1 week from this Friday. I'll be posting it probably like I'm doing here the night of the 7th, right? So you'll have the 8th to make up your mind, or if you already own, you'll have that to know what you're going to get paid on the 12th, right? So reminder, there's MSTR is the underlying, Google is the underlying, Microsoft is the underlying, AMD is the underlying, which I like a lot, and AVGW, Broadcom. All right, guys, let's look at the summaries. So these, remember, they're grouped. That's why I color coded them. These are the ones that have been around 163 calendar days. I'm already on 8/1 over here in case you do the math and say, no, Bruce, it should be 162. By the way, that gets annoying. When I make a big mistake, and you really need to clarify it and you're polite, I love it, right? When you just go, it's not $1.62, it's $1.61, like I'm an idiot, like nobody makes mistakes. Guys, I typed thousands of entries here to fix this. I'm pulling data. Everybody's prone to mistakes, and I like to be corrected when I make them, and I make my fair share, no better than anyone else. But sometimes it's just mean spirited, and I'll just block you from the channel flat out. I don't tolerate it, right? You want to be a troll, you're not going to live on my channel long. Okay, so the second group are all 44 calendar days, much less time, but not enough that we don't see things. So we're saying, hey, Tesla and Apple, you guys kind of suck since 219, right? And the markets are above where they were at 219. It's just that they had a down period. They were high originally in February. They crashed into April 7, April 10, and then have run up to new highs. That doesn't mean each individual stock. Tesla hasn't. Apple hasn't. But that's what the market, right? You're swimming in that kind of a current. So Nvidia is set new highs. So Nvidia is kicking booty here, 51.88 on Roundhill, right? It's had a gain or loss of 10.95% annualized over this entire stretch, over the 163 days, and it's distributed an annualized rate of 40.92. So that's what all these numbers mean. It's actually distributed in these 163 calendar days, 18.28% return. But that annualizes at 41%. So you see all the numbers. So who stands out here? Well, Coin and Pulte, two tech darlings, two fantastic categories. Doesn't get any better for AI and software than PLTW. If you want hardware for AI, Nvidia, right? But if you want software, which is to me longer sustaining and higher multiples, okay, you're going to have and easier to create higher margins. But coin, also software, right? These have just kicked butt. And then look here, but now you're comparing 44 days, so it's much easier to have some meteoric rise. Look at who, right? We talked about that 716% total return. But I wouldn't want to be buying at the top of this thing, right? I know some of you are going to tell me, yeah, it's a stable coin. It's the future. This thing's going to the moon. Well, keep chasing. It's not for me, okay? But I applaud you if you got in early and you're trimming a little bit of profits and you're saying, hey, long as this thing keeps performing, I'm in it. That's the smart way to play it. Not everybody can do that. You know what you guys all want? Everybody wants park and forget it. Bruce, what's your favorite long-term fund? I get asked that all the time. To me, long-term is 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. We're in a super commodity cycle. I can kind of predict that precious metals, we just saw it in cattle, guys. What did cattle just do? What is beef doing? What are cattle futures? So things tell you ahead of time what they're doing. I'm trying to tell you that real things and not printing and paper money, that's why crypto, BTC anyhow, and why gold and silver and platinum and palladium. And that's why agriculture and all these things that people have to make, we're in that kind of a cycle. Those things will do very, very well over the next 5 to 7 years. And you want to be in a certain amount of them. I'm always hunting income funds, but the reality is the growths are so much easier to buy than the income fund. As I see good income funds, I'll point them out to you. Somebody asked me about SLVO and GLDI based on silver and gold. They'll be good. They pay decent. They're not going to outpay a who, but they're going to last, in my opinion, a lot longer. So that's what you want to be in. All right. So what do we have here? 716, 127. Look at poor Netflix. That's Facebook Meta. All right, these guys I just told you are going to pay. Now, on some of these, I keep them right up to date, but it's a lot of work, guys. I'm working on AI to automate, populate these dividends, but every time I try, it works and then it stops working. So it's kind of frustrating. I can get prices updated, but it's a lot of work on these weeklies and you miss one sometimes and then people complain. And so I tried to update these. My Nvidias are Nvidia underlyings are up to date. And this is where I try to do competitive analysis for you guys. And but this isn't the exhaustive. When I put a video out and I say, here's all the funds in Nvidia as the underlying, then I did my complete due diligence. I miss a fund sometimes, and you guys, the audience is great. You guys tell me. But I don't usually leave something out because I spend the time on that. So you're still trending very, very well. Rex is doing great. But again, these are not the same dates, right? And the Roundhill's 219. The Rex is 528. The Granite is 513, right? I can do 219 with Yieldmax and then with the underlying, which doesn't really matter. So right now, NVIDIA compared to NVDW. Somebody asked me just the other day, hey, is NVIDIA good? Should I buy it? I said, it's not bad. I can't come out and say it's a horrible fund, but I can tell you it's not in this bull market. If you're bullish on the underlying, you shouldn't even be buying an income fund if you're not bullish on the underlying. Roundhill is going to out, total return you in a bull market. If it's a bear market, they're both going to go down equally. I know most of you say, oh, no, NVDW with his leverage is going to go down. They can adjust the leverage and very likely will. May not the first tranche of going down, but if you believe it's more down than up, why are you in an income fund? Just go out and buy a 1X bear and capture growth and you make money. I mean, I just don't understand that you should never buy an income fund that you're not bullish on the underlying. It's foolish. These things, do you know that Yieldmax on average captures between 35 and 50% of bull market move up? Just look at the Tesla fund. It went from, almost 280, maybe even 300 when Tesla launched down to 100 and then roared back to 300. And you were still negative in Tesla because on the downside, it takes 90 to 95% of the downside. On the upside, if it roars back, it captures 35%. Duh, those don't add up, do they? And that's what happened. A growth stock, you more readily sell it. An income fund, you want your income, so you tend to want to hold it. But guys, you got a DCA. If you're going to hold this thing, you got a DCA. You got a cost average into it because they're volatile. Think if you bought all your koi, 3 weeks ago, you bought it near a potential top then. You got to own someone that's inexpensive, and that's a psychological. You got to commit to buying when everybody else is selling. And you got to trim a little when everybody else is buying because the public is always wrong, guys. Those are my rants and nuggets for today. All right. And then what I did here is I made everybody 28. Right. I said, okay, everybody's capable. I have to shorten my list sometime, but let's see who's really performing. So you got Rex up here, you got Roundhill right here, you got Granite and Nvidia trailing. Now, the Granite fund. Now I just bought COYY, guys. I'm not anti Granite. I'm not anti Yieldmax. I still have some GDXY because at least it's on precious metal miners. It doesn't pay a whole lot, but I'm way ahead on it. I know that over the years it'll do well, but I can do a lot better just buying 2x ETFs and things like that when the bull market is really running, and and switch it up and write some of my own options and so forth. So I have that skill set that I don't have to put a tremendous amount of money, but I'm not going to sell GDXY. You know, I will if Roundhill or somebody else comes in with a much better fund and pays weekly. And that'll happen when the bull market heightens even more, which it will. Okay, so these guys are similar, 158, 169. But here's Granite is becoming the new yield max with the pay portion, right? So they're going to start to be a NAV erosion person as well. But you take it with a grain of salt, like me buying COYY. You know, I got 84 cents on the weekly. I can't even get that out of Coney on a monthly. Yeah, I know. It's $25 there and it's only, $9 on Coney. But so what? It's paying me way more on its yield. So these guys are, they're close enough. They're in the same category. They're not in Roundhill or Rex's category. I didn't update these on Tesla. Who cares about Apple right now? Koi, these are pretty much up to date. So look at Coney. I mean, how can you do, well, they're 219, so you can't compare these two. But look at COIW. I mean, maybe I did something wrong. I don't think so. Distro, Max outpaid them. Let me make sure I didn't miss something. These should be accurate. Oh, that looks like the gain or loss is not, yeah, that needs to be fixed, but so does this one. All right, so you can't take this wholly, guys. There's something that I didn't carry forward. What happened is when I move some of these things from Excel to Google Finance, it won't take the formula. And then I put them in and then I do something and it disappears. So don't, this is just too absurd. I know Koi is outperforming Coney, but this is absurd. So don't hold me to that. Now, let's come down and see what's going on here. This looks like I've at least got my formulas and my data here. But I don't know why. Yeah, 41%, 23%. Okay, that's holding up. The distro annualized because I'm going from 6.4. So there's a classic case with leverage of why they're outperforming coin. But look at Koi. Koi's not doing too bad. It's just not doing what COIW has done. iKoi has paid some big payments. They just paid a $9.42 payment, right? So look on the distro side, but also look at what's happening here on their NAV erosion. Minus 18. I gotta really look. Oh no, these are positives. Yeah, this is a minus 8. So they're valid, guys. On Coin and Pulte, these are updated and valid. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. That's what I got for you. Again, I can't do an exhaustive every time all of this stuff, but I can keep doing my comparative, say weekly or every other week on all the Tesla funds, all the Coney fund, or all the coin funds, all the MSTR funds, all the Palantir funds, all the Nvidia funds, and all the Bitcoin funds. And I do that. So keep watching all that stuff. Love all my new subscribers. I love all your comments for the most part. And you trolls, keep on trolling, and I'll keep on blocking you from the channel. So have at it, guys. This is Bruce saying, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Have a good one, guys. Bye for now.